Hello guys. Well, it's a beautiful morning here in my garden, and I decided to show you guys another member of my collection. Some of you might know that I collect steam engines, and this is something I've done for a while, but I haven't had any this big. Usually I have the 45 millimeter and the 32 millimeter gauge. That's called narrow gauge, which I have actually tracks in my garden. I can just show you. I'm not sure whether you can see it, but just next to my pond here, I have some tracks that haven't been used in a while, and these are for my narrow gauge locomotives. This model, however, runs on 3.5-inch tracks, so I cannot run it on my garden line. I can give you an idea how wide that is. So here we have some tracks, and you can see the size in comparison to my hands. They're 3.5-inch wide, and can definitely not run on my garden tracks, at least for now. The Locomotive has quite an interesting background, and yet I don't know very much about it. So if any of you recognize this model, please say so. It's named the Mountaineer, and is supposed, if I have to go after this plaque, it's American Loco Works. However, when I look at this model, it kind of has a resemblance to the Poly engineering models from the United Kingdom. But those of you who know the company, Poly Engineering, and if you look at the details there, the firebox, the sight glass, that's the cylinder drain cocks, front and back gears, the valve cock, that's for the blower. These two are for the injectors, that's the whistle valve, and then the manometer. It's a meter long and 45 centimeters high and about 30 centimeters wide. It is 262. That means a two-wheel buggy at the back, 6-wheel traction in the drivetrain, and then 2-wheel buggy in front. It's very, very well made, and as I could understand, it was built about 30 years ago of a very talented engineer. He steamed it up a few times, but for the last 25 years it's been lying on a shelf in his garage, and because of health reasons his family was getting rid of his collection, and I got the opportunity and the privilege to purchase this model. The boiler is about 12 centimeters in diameter, very detailed. As you can see, it has the two injectors there. These are water tanks for extra filling, and in this water tank there is a pump with a manual handle, which is here, to fill up and top up the boiler. There are a few tweaks on it which I still have to solve, like one of the injectors from time to time plays up, but I guess we'll solve that with time. And it's a coal-fired locomotive. That means it is powered by live coal, unlike most of the other models I have that are gas powered. I have one coal locomotive at the moment, but it's much smaller, and the smaller these models are, the more temperamental they are. So I'm actually quite excited about this model. Here you can see the steam cylinders, at least one of them, and the lovely machine work. in the chassis. It has this beautiful leaf spring suspension and possibility for a tender with a water feed that can go up and refill the tank, which I'd probably work upon. Under the dome we have two safety valves, and the details, the lagging, that's probably some asbestos if it was made 30 years ago, so I better not muck around with that. Two lovely whistles with beautiful tone. Here we have, I don't know if it's light enough so we can see the blower. No, it's too dark. Well, at least we tried. But here we have the lubricator, which is automatic, a mechanical one, so it fills the two cylinders through that little pipe. Now I noticed there was a lot of oil leaking here, and I can see the paint scratching off here, which means somebody has fiddled with it for a while, but I was able to dismantle it and put a proper soda on the pipe so it doesn't leak anymore. And I've just suspended the locomotive now on 2 blocks so that I can fire it up and give you guys a little demonstration. Okay guys, I'm getting ready to fire up the locomotive, and I have my coal ready. That's anthracite. It's a little bit cleaner burning coal. I have my coal shovel. I have some normal wood chips to serve as firewood. I have bioethanol as fuel, which burns very clean without any soot. And I have my oiler to oil all the linkages and moving parts. I have my steam oil for the lubricator to lubricate the steam cylinders, and I have my little blower fan which goes into the chimney and creates a draft before the blower has enough pressure to activate itself. Now I have gone ahead and filled up the tanks, both of them, with rainwater, clean rainwater, and the reason is because it doesn't contain as much hard, it's not as hard water as what you have in the house, so I don't get scale buildup. And as I've filled up the tanks with rainwater, all I have to do now is put in the handle and make sure I pump this water into the engine until I can see it about 3/4 way into the sight glass. So I'll do that now. I have now added some wood into the firebox and soaked them beforehand with a little bit of fuel, and as you can see, there's good flame. I close the firebox so the wood can start burning. You would notice the water in the sight glass, it's a little bit above half. I pump it a little bit more while the fire is going on. Meanwhile, my steam valve is closed, my regulators are closed, and the gear is on neutral. Likewise the injectors. So the blower is smoking quite a bit, and it always does that in the beginning, because the wood has to get a grip with the fire and get well burnt, and as soon as it does, I begin to add a few shovelfuls of coal. Now, this is kind of difficult with one hand because I have to hold the camera, but I'm adding a few spread out shovelfuls of coal so that I don't suffocate it in the beginning. It's a good idea to put the coal in front, behind, and to both sides in the beginning to make sure the draft from the bottom is still rich. As the flame gets established, I don't know whether you can see it there, the smoke is less, as you can see there. The idea is always, as much as possible, keep this firebox door closed, because there's a grate at the bottom of the firebox and the draft should come from the bottom so that everything ignites evenly. So I've opened for the steam valve, put it in forward gear. I emptied the water lock in the cylinders, and the model is chuffing away nicely. A whistle. There's a little bit of water still in the pipes that has to evaporate, but this is very smooth and lovely. It's running already at 60 psi. And water level is fine. Look at the coal. Nice rich burn. Well guys, I think you get the idea, and I'll be ending this video now. As you can see, she is running very smoothly on both cylinders, and the injectors are doing a good job keeping the boiler filled. And we'll just try the whistle one more time. I guess I have to work on that. And here we go, you can see the fire. Very rich. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a comment, a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and let me know if you want to see more of these kind of videos. Take care of yourselves, and